So next we move into observations. So when we click into observations, you'll see list of children again, and then there's a button over here which is going to say add observation. So simply when you want to do an observation, you click on the add observation button. So here you'll see there's 4 different steps here. And when you click in, I suppose the very first step here is you add your photos. So you can take it from the gallery, or you can add them from the camera there and then. You will go in here into type, so physical, intellectual, language, observation, emotional, social, general, learning story. So again, you can choose these. These will be changing in the near future. So again, there's an option for the owner that they can actually edit and change all these options to suit what's needed. And then you have a heading here, which is really activities and experiences. So again, you're just typing in, are you observing them reading, writing, dancing, singing. Down further then we've got 2 areas, which is description and context. So describe what is happening. So Michelle Hart and Denise McCormill and Mary Daly, who were working with on this from the NCN and the Cron, they were saying it's much easier for staff, I suppose, because they're under a lot of pressure, is that when you put in prompts, it's easier for you then to complete the observation. So describe what is happening. So you're simply typing down underneath this, or else you can actually talk into the tablet and it'll write up what you're saying. How does the child interact? What does the child say? And again, as I say, you can record actually with the tablet, you can record what the child is saying and it'll type it up in it. Their interest, skills, dispositions, and what decision the child makes. So again, these are only here to help you and benefit you by actually giving you prompts. If you don't want to use any of them, you can simply click on that and delete them, okay? But it's just there to give you a helping hand. What will we do next? Many of you do that, is how you're going to follow on. So again, it's simple. You put in what you need to do to go in there, okay? We'll move on to step 2. So again, there's an option here in the owner level that they can disable piles, and that disappears if you're not using it, okay? But it's there just to actually link it in if you are still using it. And then when you want to add your teams and your standards. So if we click into add teams and standards, you'll see here's the 4 teams: well-being, identity and belonging, communicating, exploring and thinking. If we click on communicating and say next step, here's your 4 aims, okay? So you can select multiple aims. And now you'll see here's your 6 goals. Okay, so you can select multiple goals. So multiple aims and multiple goals. And what we're finding obviously is from owners and managers around the country is that their staff are actually learning Ashter quicker through this, because it's repetitive, I suppose, and it's in front of them, and they don't have to write out all the information over and over again. Now remember, none of this observation is mandatory, so you can skip any section you want. And I suppose some settings where we go and visit, they're not using Shield at the moment, but it is obviously coming in. But the excellent thing that we've done with ChildPaths is that when you move on to the next part of this, okay, it shows you the Shield standards and components. But there's only 7 of these here, because they're the only standards that link to that team communicating you've selected. So again, it helps your staff to understand where it's overlapping and interlinking. And then when you click on a standard, you have your components. So it's an excellent way, if you're not using Shield and plan to start using it, it's an excellent way to introduce all these standards and components in a simple and quick manner for your staff, that they will actually remember and learn this as well. But if, as I say, you're not using it, you can actually unselect that and you can move on. And I'll give you a little summary saying there's 2 aims, 4 goals, no standards, no components. You have the option here to edit that if you weren't happy and you made a mistake. You have an option to delete it and do it all again, or you have an option to add in more teams. So you can add in another team maybe around well-being or exploring and thinking. But for now, we're going to move to the next step, okay? Step 3. So in step 3, you'll see 3 areas, which is the child's strengths, the challenges, which has to be clearly clarified. This is the areas for development / the resources that were used, okay? So it's not a negative thing, it's more so around what you can do to help the child, okay? And the last thing then is the plan with the child and the guardian, okay? So this is where you need to tell the parents what they need to do. So I'm a parent, I need to know in simple terms what's the simple little things that I can do at home to help with my child's learning and development. Now the beauty about this as well is that owners and managers can set their staff up that they're not allowed to share an observation until the owner or line manager is confident and they're competent that the staff member is able to do these. So when you're actually not allowed to share this with a parent, the share button disappears, okay? Like you can see here, there's no share button. But when you're actually allowed, so when your line manager or your owner manager gives you access to share with the parents, a button will pop up here asking you, do you want to share this with the guardian? And you will say yes or no, okay? But for now, we're just doing one here that you're not allowed to share it, because you're putting in this information for your line manager to review and approve. And again, these areas, many settings to say that they haven't or they don't necessarily put this in, but we're strongly of the case that you should, because what's the harm in actually telling parents what the child's strengths are? What's the harm in saying where the areas where they can improve and how they can go about improving them? And again, finally, the plan with the child and the guardian is actually about getting the parents more involved. So how do you do that? Is by telling them what they need to do. Okay, so if we move on to the final step, which is step 4, okay, these are private. This is information will not be shared with the guardian. This will be private for the childcare facility, because obviously you need to take notes, and again, you may or may not obviously want the parents to see, but it's not, it's private, it's just for you, because your notes and your own observations on it. Or you may need your manager or line manager to actually review and approve and come back to this. So at the moment, when you save this, it'll come up as draft. Okay, I suppose the option that you will have when you're allowed to share it with the parents is you'll click on a drop down box there and it'll say complete, share with the guardians. Okay, and that'll allow you to do it. But the other great thing, I suppose, with ChildPaths is that these are all related observations. Okay, and again, these are just examples, but these are from, let's say, previous months. Okay, and the beautiful thing that you can do with ChildPaths is you can link your observations together. Okay, and by clicking on one of these buttons, you can click and view the previous observations, and to link them together, all you're doing is clicking on this button. Okay, if that's the one you want, obviously, and you're going down to the bottom and you're hitting create. Okay, and what that does is it creates the observation that has a link to the next observation, and it means then when you're going in to show your manager or to show the inspectors, I suppose, how did Abby get on, or was there an issue or concern? There's 2 ways you can go in. I'll go in here quickly into observations here, okay, and click into our observations tab. And what it's going to do is it's going to show up all our observations. And if I click in here and click on the I button to view this, okay, what it does is it brings up all the information. You have an option to print and you can go back. But down here below, this is just obviously a test one. Down here below, when you have all the information in here and photographs that look really well, here is the link. So if a child was struggling with the coordination and so on, you click on the link and it shows what they had done previously and so on. So again, what this really, I suppose, is very, very useful for is a sense of achievement for the staff. Obviously, because you're seeing what you've done, the resources you've used in order to help this child, but it's month on month, both the staff and the parents are actually seeing the progress the child is making. And again, obviously the child is the one that's benefiting most from this again. So again, you can link these all together, and when you want to look for your observations, they're in a tool here which is called the Observations Index. Okay, and when you click in there, it'll list out all your observations that you've done, and again, for owners and managers, they'll see all their staff and they can choose here whether they want to look at the draft ones or the complete ones, because obviously the draft ones, it'll only show them which ones they need to review and approve and so on. Thank you very much.